Our story begins on Cato Neimoidia, a crucial planet in the Clone Wars that the Republic has been trying to win for weeks now, and in an unexpected turn of events, Plo Koon and his clone legion led by Commander Wolf took down the Separatist stronghold much sooner than expected. The Separatists made a mistake in their battle plans, and this mistake allowed Plo and the clone pilots to blow up the command ship orbiting the planet, shutting down the droids fighting against them. Cato Neimoidia, the homeworld of Newt Gunray and the Trade Federation, was back into Republic hands, and after completing a final flyover, Master Plo learned that Coruscant was just attacked. Palpatine was captured, but the Republic mission recap stated that Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker not only rescued Palpatine, but he also killed Count Dooku. Plo had a touch of sadness for the direction that Dooku's life went down. He could have been a truly great Jedi Master, but instead, he died fighting against the Jedi. But Plo pulled out his Jedi Council communicator, and he sent in a message to the Council. Cato Neimoidia is back in Republic hands, and he is ready for a new mission. Yoda and Mace Windu were together when Plo sent in this report, and so the three of them were now communicating. Plo said he could come back to Coruscant, help with the relief efforts after the attack. But Windu said that may not be the best idea. They are trying to bait out Darth Sidious by having some Council members off-planet. But Yoda said he has an idea, and he told Plo about Ahsoka's mission to Mandalore. Plo heard this, and he felt some joy for Ahsoka. One of the most heartbreaking moments in Plo's life was when Ahsoka left the Jedi Order. He felt responsible for her because he brought her to the temple so long ago, and her life had completely flipped after she was framed for the temple bombing. Plo never got to say goodbye, and that hurt him, so when Yoda brought up this mission, Plo said it would be his wish to go aid Ahsoka against Maul. He is dangerous, and Plo said perhaps he and Ahsoka can bring him in alive, get answers about Sidious, and bring her back into the Order. Windu and Yoda both agreed this would work. Maul could be a vital link to the mystery of the Sith now that Dooku is gone. So they sent Plo to Mandalore with the most elite members of the Wolf Pack, Boost, Comet, Sinker, and of course Commander Wolf himself. The rest of the 104th Battalion was to stay on Cato Neimoidia, finish securing the planet. So Plo would inform the elite Wolf Pack of their mission, and they prepared for departure to Mandalore. Commander Wolf said he was excited to fight with Rex again, as there were few men as experienced as Rex. And so the group took off to Mandalore, hoping to win yet another battle for the Republic. The preparation and then the trip to Mandalore would be long, and on that planet, events were moving quickly. Maul had gathered his people, and he told them that the time for hiding is over. The plans of Sidious are moving quickly, and they must act now. So Maul ordered his Shadow Collective of crime syndicates into hiding, and he ordered his forces here on Mandalore to prepare for battle. If the Republic wants a fight, then that is what they will get. And so as Maul's Mandalorians prepared for battle, Maul moved to the throne room, and he waited. He knew that Ahsoka would be here soon, and it would be up to him to bring her to his side. And within the hour, Ahsoka entered the throne room, and the final battle would begin outside. Maul looked to her, and he began trying to recruit her to his side. Outside of the palace, though, Rex and Bo-Katan were pinned down in battle. They were surrounded by Maul's people, and nearly anyone else would have been shot down by now, but Bo and Rex were the best of the best. Bo saw an opening, and she told Rex they have to get out of here, but Rex said it was far too risky. The surrounding Mandalorians closed in on them, and Rex prepared for a true standoff. But he heard the sounds of 4 jetpacks as reinforcements were now arriving. Commander Wolf and clones Boost, Comet, and Sinker landed behind Maul's forces, firing on them, allowing Rex and Bo to rejoin the fight, taking down Maul's men, forcing them into a sudden retreat. Rex nodded with excited approval over to Wolf, and the clone commander told Rex they will finish this together. And inside of the palace, as Maul was trying to convince Ahsoka to join him, a lightsaber ignited at the doorway, and Plo Koon's masked voice told Ahsoka not to listen to him. Ahsoka knew she may be getting reinforcements, but the timing truly could not be more perfect. Plo walked in, and he got by Ahsoka's side, telling her it is good to see her, and that it's only right that they finish this together. Ahsoka, who was on the verge of considering Maul's ideas, smiled up at Plo, pulled out her 2 lightsabers, and was ready for a final duel in this war. Darth Maul's red blades came to life, and he angrily launched himself into his initial assault, his strikes hammering down with brutal intensity. He knew that he could defeat these Jedi, prove only his powers could stop what is to come. Maul weaved through their defenses, forcing Ahsoka into evasive counters to avoid the constant strikes. Plo held his ground, his saber blocking as he waited patiently, as Maul's strength was enough to make even the experienced Jedi Master falter momentarily under the onslaught. But the tide would shift as Plo and Ahsoka adapted, moving with a silent coordination that blended their skills. Their connection, not just as Jedi, but as friends, was extremely strong, and Plo took on a stabilizing role, his calm defenses countering Maul's fury, while Ahsoka darted around him, using her agility to her advantage. Together, they circled around Maul. It was a push and pull between Maul's offensive might and their balanced defenses. Ahsoka exploited the moments when Maul was focused on Plo, slipping past him with strong strikes that turned Maul to the defensive. Maul's fierce pace began to falter, his moves were becoming reckless in his frustration, and Plo had his moment as he now went on the offensive, launching a powerful thrust, forcing Maul to deflect upwards just as Ahsoka lunged low, sweeping her blade across his exposed side. Ahsoka's blade cut into Maul's thigh, and he fell to a knee as Plo force-pushed him hard into the wall, knocking him out. It was over, and the battle outside of the palace was concluding as well, with a Republic victory. And so the rest of the night on Mandalore would be focused on wrapping everything up, as Maul was securely placed into the Mandalorian vault to be transported back to Coruscant. As everything was finishing up, Plo Koon and Ahsoka stayed together, as Ahsoka would pass the time by telling Plo some stories about her time since leaving the Order, and it was good for the two of them to catch up. They had a quick meal before boarding the ship to depart for Coruscant, and they were joined by Rex and Wolf, as the clone commanders wondered if there would ever be another battle. Soon enough, they would finally take off back to Coruscant, and the flight over was a bit eerie. Ahsoka was on edge, and she was telling Plo about what Maul had said before the duel. It was as if he knew of what was to come, and he wanted to stop it. Ahsoka said that if something could be so evil that even Maul was worried, then maybe they should all be worried. Plo told her to stay centered on the here and the now, on this very moment. It won't be long until they are back on Coruscant, and they will be with Anakin and Windu to make sure that everything is alright. This helped Ahsoka quite a bit, and she stared out into the blue waves of hyperspace for a long time as Plo went to meditate. There was something in the Force that Plo felt. It was small, but it was like a dark cloud coming to blind any remnant of the light, and Plo wanted to find out what this could be. He didn't tell Ahsoka, as she was already worried, but Plo was on edge as he went into meditation. For a long while, Plo and Ahsoka stayed in their separate locations. Ahsoka was on the bridge with Rex, and Rex was suddenly called into a meeting, as new orders have just come in. And around a minute later, Ahsoka would hear Rex's helmet drop to the floor as he received these new orders. In the ship barracks, Plo Koon was alone, sinking deeper into meditation, and he was granted access to a small vision. Purple, blue, red lightsabers ignited, blue lightning in the air. The sounds of screaming from a Jedi were blending with the sounds of rain and thunder, and Plo became even more worried for the Jedi. But the meditation was interrupted as the door slid open and 4 pairs of footsteps suddenly spread into the room, surrounding Plo. The Jedi Master slowly opened his eyes to see Wolf, Boost, Comet, and Sinker aiming their blasters at him. The Wolf Pack was here to kill him, and without a word, all 4 of the clones fired, but Plo was too quick. He ignited his blade, spinning to deflect all of the shots away from the troopers, and he pushed them hard into the wall. By the time the squad was back on their feet, Plo was gone, and so they sent out into the ship to find and kill this Jedi traitor. In the halls of the Republic Venator, Plo Koon was avoiding the clone squad searching for him, and eventually he ran right into Ahsoka. She hugged Plo, saying that the clones have turned, and she was worried that he died, and Plo assured her it would be alright. Ahsoka just freed Maul in order to cause a distraction, and both Jedi could now feel that distraction, as Maul just ripped apart the hyperdrive inside of this ship. The entire Venator shook until it was ripped out of hyperspace and headed directly for a barren moon. Plo told Ahsoka they need to get to the hangar immediately, but Ahsoka said they can't. She just learned about fives, and she just learned that the clones are doing this because of the inhibitor chips, so perhaps they can save the clones. Plo said there's no time, and it was heartbreaking to say, but Ahsoka said she can't give up on Rex, and he can't give up on Wolf, or they'll never be able to forgive themselves. Plo contemplated it, and eventually he agreed, as Ahsoka put together a plan. Rex and Wolf were together in this ship, hunting down the 2 Jedi along with Maul, when suddenly blast doors closed around the 2 commanders, and they were stunned. Ahsoka and Plo pulled each of them into the medical room, put them into surgery capsules, and the machines got to work, as both Plo and Ahsoka used the Force to find the chips. Once they did this, the chips were removed just before more clones broke into the room, as Plo, Ahsoka, Wolf, and Rex were able to defeat them. Ahsoka said maybe they can remove all of the chips, but Rex knew there was no hope. They were about to crash into the moon unless they get out of here immediately. So the four of them scrambled out of the medical room and into the halls, making their way through the ship as it continued to groan and shake from the destroyed hyperdrive. They got to the hangar as Jesse and the 501st were preparing to stop them, but they just continued forward. Plo and Ahsoka led the way with their sabers ignited, deflecting constant barrages of blaster bolts as the clones fired at them. Rex and Wolf were using stun blasts to clear a path, and before long, the last remaining ship in the hangar was within view. But of course, Maul was also chasing after it. Maul got there first, taking off in the ship, but Plo was able to leap high into the air to land on the closing ramp. He used the Force to pull Maul out, throwing him back down into the hangar, where the clones quickly swarmed him and defeated him. And Plo took this opportunity to swing down and pick up Ahsoka, Rex, and Wolf as he took off out of the exploding ship as it collided with the moon. And the four of them would spend the next many hours honoring the dead, doing their best to make some sort of memorial for all of the clones here. Plo Koon would search the ship for his communicator, and when he finally found it, Plo would access the secure Jedi frequency, hoping that even one of the Jedi Masters made it out alive and would be in contact with him. This frequency was only accessed by council members, and so Plo would leave the communicator on for a while, sending a signal with very little luck, until finally, two of the Jedi answered. Yoda and Obi-Wan survived. They were together, and they told Plo that the moon he was on was in their pathway, so they could swing down and pick them up. When Yoda and Obi-Wan arrived in Bail Organa's ship, the two Jedi and the two clones boarded that ship with somber looks on their faces. They knew now that the clone betrayal happened galaxy-wide, and of the 10,000 Jedi in the Order, they were the only known survivors as of right now. They would discuss all of this with Yoda and Obi-Wan, and they weren't exactly sure what happened, but Yoda knew one thing for certain. Chancellor Palpatine is Darth Sidious. Yoda spoke to Windu before he went to confront Palpatine, and not even an hour later, this entire war was upended. The only one with the power to do all of this was Palpatine himself. Ahsoka asked Obi-Wan if he heard anything from Anakin, and Obi-Wan sadly shook his head, saying he was last seen at the Jedi Temple before everything went down, and they can only hope he survived. At the front of the ship, Yoda didn't say anything yet, but he had a feeling that Anakin not only survived, but was at the center of all of this. And when they landed at the Jedi Temple, those suspicions would soon be confirmed. Yoda, Obi-Wan, Plo Koon, and Ahsoka walked through the temple halls, while Bail Organa went to the Senate, and both Rex and Wolf were walking around the temple, looking for any survivors. In the temple, the four Jedi gathered around the security console, as Yoda warned them not to switch it on. But Ahsoka and Obi-Wan had to know the truth, and the truth would break them. They saw Anakin Skywalker cutting down Jedi of all ages, then kneeling before Darth Sidious. He has become a Sith, and Yoda said both Sith must be dealt with. So Obi-Wan and Ahsoka wanted to face Sidious, but that was not an option. He was too powerful. So Yoda said that he and Plo will take on Sidious, while Obi-Wan and Ahsoka find Anakin and do what must be done. So Ahsoka and Obi-Wan would travel to Padme's apartment, where she greeted them with a deep sadness about her. Obi-Wan asked where Anakin was, and Padme was hesitant to reveal anything, but Ahsoka came to her and said that together, the three of them can still save him. He has done terrible things, but Ahsoka said she doesn't believe it could really have been him. The clones were mind-controlled, so perhaps Anakin was too. They just need to find out the truth. Padme had some hope, so she told the Jedi he was on Mustafar, and together, the three of them will go there. So Padme, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan would soon take off for Mustafar, while Yoda and Plo Koon entered the Senate building for Palpatine. On Mustafar, the new Sith apprentice, Darth Vader, watched Padme's ship land, and he took off running to greet his wife, but as the ramp lowered, she was not alone. Instead, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, and Padme were all on board, staring down at him with disappointment, and Anakin glared at them angrily, saying that his master was right. He said the Jedi and the Senate were working against him, and now even his closest friends are here to destroy him. Ahsoka was begging Anakin to stop this madness, to see through the lies of the Sith, to clear whatever is clouding his mind, But Anakin, with the fires of Mustafar reflecting in his eyes, yelled that his mind has never been clearer. Anakin yelled that he sees through the lies of the Jedi. The only way to keep the galaxy safe and secure is through his empire. So Obi-Wan moved past both Padme and Ahsoka. He ignited his lightsaber. Yoda was right. Anakin was gone. And now he must avenge Anakin's death for the safety of the galaxy. Anakin ignited his lightsaber as well, and Padme ran down the ramp to stop this, but Anakin force-pushed her far off of the landing platform. Ahsoka leapt far through the air to catch her, setting her down before wiping a tear and igniting her 2 blades as well. She knew her master was gone. On Coruscant, Darth Sidious was seated with Mas Amedda, going over the establishment of this new empire, when both Yoda and Plo Koon entered together. Sidious rose from his seat, angry to see that these Jedi dare confront him after he spent decades perfectly shredding their order to nothing. Perhaps it was only right that he finish the job with his own saber. So Sidious ignited his red blade, telling the Jedi they will join the rest of their fallen members today. Yoda and Plo circled around him, and they moved in at the Sith Lord together. Sidious was spraying bolts of lightning at the 2 Jedi Masters, who quickly evaded and absorbed the strikes with their lightsabers, their movements pushing them into battle. Yoda spun through the air with speedy, powerful strikes, while Plo approached from the other side, his blue saber trying to find a weakness in Sidious's defenses. Sidious was whirling his lightsaber in arcs of red spin through the air, the 3 of them ascending now through the Senate chambers, and he threw one of the Senate pods at Plo, who destroyed it with the Force, then launched the debris back toward Sidious. Sidious sneered, spraying more lightning to turn the shards into dust, as the lightning was aimed for the Jedi. Yoda and Plo split to dodge the tendrils, each taking a separate path as they converged again on Sidious. In the fleeting pause, Yoda lifted his hand, throwing Sidious off balance just long enough for Plo to land a blow that seared through Sidious's robes and grazed his side, causing the Sith Lord to stagger backwards, momentarily stunned. The fight turned relentless as Sidious grew increasingly desperate, his attacks much more vicious and erratic. He spun around, attempting to push the Jedi back with another burst of lightning, but Plo absorbed the blast with his lightsaber, redirecting it towards the Sith, forcing Sidious to shield himself, which created a small opening. And seizing the moment, Yoda dashed forward, his blade slicing through the air, forcing Sidious into a final vulnerable stance. And with a swift upward strike from Plo Koon that sent Sidious reeling, Yoda flipped behind him, delivering a final decisive blow. Sidious fell to his knees, defeated, as both Yoda and Plo's lightsabers ended him. And on Mustafar, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan have pushed Anakin into the control room, where the 3 of them were now maneuvering around the slaughtered bodies of the Separatists that Anakin just killed. It was a horrific scene, but as Obi-Wan and Anakin were dueling, Ahsoka separated herself and locked down the building. This fight would end in here. Anakin swung hard, disarming Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan reached forward and slammed Anakin with the Force, making him crash hard into the wall. Ahsoka told him to surrender, but Anakin instead dove at her with his lightsaber pointed forward, and she barely dodged as Anakin regrouped. Obi-Wan had his lightsaber back, and he was once again clashing with Anakin as Ahsoka took both of her sabers and carved a hole in the floor. When the time was right, she used the Force to pull Anakin towards her. Anakin spun around while in the air, ready to strike her down, but as he landed, Ahsoka pushed down on the floor she just damaged, and it gave way to the lava river beneath them. Anakin lost his footing, and he slipped through the hole in the floor. Luckily, he reached up just in time, grabbing some wires, and he was barely holding on as his body swung around over the lava. He looked up, his eyes flickering yellow, and both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka were unsure of what to do. If they save Anakin, he will likely try to kill them, but watching him fall to his death would be horrible. And so Obi-Wan made a choice, reaching down, telling Anakin it's not too late. They can help him still. Anakin closed his eyes, and Ahsoka turned her head to behind Obi-Wan, where she heard Anakin's lightsaber slightly moving. She realized what was happening. He was going to ignite it through Obi-Wan's back. So as Anakin guided his saber to kill Obi-Wan, Ahsoka reignited her blade, and without thinking, she quickly sliced through Anakin's wrists. Everything seemed to go in slow motion, as the lightsaber clattered away from Obi-Wan, and Anakin's eyes went wide with fear as he fell from the building, down into the lava. Both Obi-Wan and Ahsoka had to look away, as Ahsoka slumped against the wall, numb from the emotions of what she has just done. And when Obi-Wan and Ahsoka left the building without Anakin, Padme also broke into tears, as the 3 of them left the planet victorious. but only after losing everything. The next year would be one of constant turmoil and rebuilding for the Jedi and for the Republic. Commanders Rex and Wolf led the investigations from the Senate into the inhibitor chips, and these investigations took them all the way back to before the war, as the Kaminoans were working with Dooku during all of this. The clones would go through mass chip removal, and would be reorganized to stay in the Republic, with Rex and Wolf being the main commanders of the clones, and the program for more cloning was shut down. Chancellor Mon Mothma would work with Padme and Bail to restore the Republic, and perhaps in time, the Jedi could return. But for now, they were out in the galaxy on Lothal, rebuilding their order in a new way. Plo Koon had taken this year to truly finish Ahsoka's training, and together, she and Obi-Wan worked through the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker together. Luke and Leia were set to become Jedi, and Master Yoda would accept them, as they could learn from their mistakes with Anakin. Things were in a constant reset for a long time, but there was hope for the galaxy, now that the Sith have been officially eradicated. In time, the new hopes would rise, as the Skywalker name would someday be one of happiness once again. And folks, that is our story for today. What if Plo Koon was with Ahsoka during Order 66? Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you want to see next, of course. And yeah, I enjoyed this one. Always fun to do some Plo Koon. I know he's a bit of a side character, but you know, as far as I've noticed, me, Penty, Fantasy, really everyone that does these what ifs, we all kind of enjoy doing this stuff with Plo Koon. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought down below. And yeah, that's about all I got. So I'll see you in the next video.